Imagine a world where Adolf Hitler emerges victorious in World War II. What would such a reality look like? This question isn't posed to glorify the atrocities of Hitler's regime, but rather as a thought experiment, a venture into the realm of alternative history. Let's briefly revisit the historical context. World War II, a global conflict that raged from 1939 to 1945, was a monumental battle of ideologies. At the heart of this conflict was Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany, whose objectives were driven by a dangerous blend of territorial expansion, racial supremacy, and totalitarianism. Hitler's dream was a world dominated by the Aryan race, under the banner of the Third Reich, a genocidal vision that brought unimaginable suffering and loss. Our world today is shaped by the collective efforts of the Allies who defeated Hitler and his Axis powers, marking a victory for democracy and human rights. However, what if this didn't happen? What if, in an alternative timeline, Hitler had won? What if the swastika, instead of being a reviled symbol of hate, was flying high over global capitals? Such a concept is the essence of alternative history, a genre of fiction that tinkers with historical facts and events, creating a parallel universe where the outcomes we take for granted are turned on their heads. This is not an exercise in fear-mongering or an attempt to belittle the sacrifices of millions. Instead, it's an exploration of what-ifs, a way to appreciate the world we live in and understand the importance of our historical victories. In this series, we will navigate the possible political, social, and cultural shifts that might have occurred had Hitler not been defeated. We will venture into this parallel universe not to rewrite history, but to illuminate the significance of our shared past and its impact on our present. Now, let's plunge into this alternate universe and explore the potential outcomes of Hitler's victory. A world where Hitler won would likely mean a world dominated by the Axis powers. The key players in this alternate reality, Germany, Italy, and Japan, would have had a stronghold on global affairs, steering the course of history in a radically different direction. For starters, Europe could have been a single unified entity under the iron fist of the Third Reich. The Nazi ideology would have been the law of the land, with the horrifying prospect of racial purity and Aryan supremacy turning into a chilling reality. The fate of the United Kingdom, one of the staunchest opponents of the Axis powers, could have been bleak. Perhaps it would have been reduced to a puppet state or worse, a German province. Across the Atlantic, the United States, having been kept out of the war, might have turned inwards, adopting a policy of isolationism. The economic and military powerhouse of the world might have been relegated to the sidelines, watching anxiously as the Axis powers reshaped the globe. In the East, Japan would have likely had free reign over Asia. Its imperial ambitions could have turned China, Korea, and Southeast Asia into Japanese territories. The concept of Pan-Asianism, where all Asians are united under one government, might have been a reality, albeit under the oppressive rule of the Japanese Empire. As for the global economy, the Axis powers could have established a new economic order. Germany and Japan, with their industrial might have driven global production, dictating market terms and conditions. The world's financial centers might have shifted from New York and London to Berlin and Tokyo. On a societal level, the Axis powers' reign might have ushered in a dark age of human rights. Democratic ideals and freedoms could have been suppressed, replaced with a totalitarian regime that values obedience over individuality. The world's cultural diversity might have been systematically erased, replaced with a homogeneous culture dictated by the Axis powers. The world map might have looked starkly different, with the Axis powers asserting their influence far and wide. It's a disconcerting image to contemplate, a world order built on oppression, expansionism, and a distorted vision of racial superiority. One of the darkest chapters in human history, the Holocaust, could have had an even more horrifying ending. If Hitler had not lost, the Holocaust, which was already an absolute horror, could have continued in an even more catastrophic manner. Imagine a world where the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews was not the end point. Hitler's victory could have meant the continuation and even escalation of this horrific event. The machinery of extermination that was already in full gear could have been ramped up to terrifying new levels. Concentration camps, gas chambers, and mass shootings could have become even more widespread, and the number of victims could have soared into the tens of millions. But the Holocaust didn't just target Jews. Hitler's vision of a racially pure Aryan society also meant the extermination of other groups he deemed undesirable. Romani people, disabled individuals, Slavs, political dissidents, and homosexuals were among those targeted. The continuation of the Holocaust could have led to a significantly larger scale genocide of these groups as well. The global implications of such an event are equally distressing. Not only would the Jewish population and other targeted groups be drastically reduced, but the world's demographic makeup could have been significantly altered. Entire cultures and traditions could have been wiped out, leading to a much less diverse world. Furthermore, the unchecked spread of Hitler's ideology could have led to more countries adopting similar policies of racial and ethnic cleansing. The world could have been plunged into a dark age of intolerance, discrimination, and violence. The moral fabric of society would have been torn asunder, and the values of respect, equality, and justice that we hold dear today would have been replaced with hate and bigotry. The Holocaust serves as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink when blinded by hatred and fear. It is a tragedy that we must never forget, and we must do everything in our power to ensure that such an event never happens again. A world with Hitler victorious could have meant an unimaginable escalation of the Holocaust. The Cold War, a defining period in the 20th century, might never have happened if Hitler had won. This global standoff, primarily between the United States and the Soviet Union, was rooted in ideological differences: capitalism versus communism. But in a world where the Axis powers reigned supreme, this ideological tug-of-war might have been completely off the table. Without the Cold War, the global political landscape could have been a vastly different arena. The bipolar world, divided between the capitalist West and the communist East, might never have materialized. Instead, we might have seen a world dominated by the fascist ideologies of the Axis powers, with multiple nations falling under their sphere of influence. However, the absence of the Cold War would not only have affected politics but also technology and scientific advancements. The space race, a significant aspect of the Cold War, pushed both the United States and the Soviet Union to their limits, leading to groundbreaking advancements in space exploration and technology. If the Cold War had never happened, mankind's journey into space might have been delayed or possibly never occurred at all. Moreover, the Cold War's arms race led to rapid advancements in military technology, which inadvertently contributed to progress in various civilian sectors. Without this competition, technological growth might have been significantly slower or geared towards different objectives, possibly more aligned with the goals of the Axis powers. The balance of power too would have been dramatically different. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers post-World War II, largely due to the power vacuum left by the defeated Axis powers. If Hitler had won, this power vacuum would not exist, potentially leaving the Axis powers as the dominant forces on the global stage. Without the Cold War, the world might have taken a drastically different path in terms of political ideology and technological advancement. What might our present world look like if Hitler had never lost? Imagine a world where the Axis powers reigned supreme. A world where the chilling echoes of the Holocaust still reverberated through the decades, shaping the course of history. A world where the Cold War, as we know it, never transpired. This is the world we're trying to envisage here. Let's delve into the potential state of human rights in this alternative timeline. The very concept of human rights might have been significantly warped, if not completely obliterated. Hitler's racist ideology could have become the norm, leading to widespread discrimination and genocide. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document so crucial to our current understanding of human dignity, might not have seen the light of day. In terms of international relations, a Nazi-led world could have been marked by a stark polarity. Countries might have been forced to align themselves with the Axis powers or risk annihilation. The United Nations, a beacon of international cooperation and peacekeeping, might not have been established, making the world a far more dangerous and volatile place. Technological progress might have taken a different trajectory as well. While it's true that war often fuels technological innovation, these advancements under a Nazi regime might have been primarily militaristic and propagandistic in nature. Space exploration, internet development, and medical advancements might have lagged behind or taken on a drastically different form. And finally, Let's ponder over the global culture in this alternate reality. Hitler's vision of Aryan supremacy might have stifled cultural diversity, leading to a homogenized and sterile global culture. Art, music, literature, and film could have been regulated to promote Nazi ideologies, severely limiting creativity and free expression. In this alternative reality, the world as we know it could have been unrecognizable.